The exit age distribution. The exit age distribution of a CSTR the exit age distribution of a CSTR Can you hear my voice? Okay, I think somebody wrote it, I can't hear it. The exit age distribution of a CSTR is given by E equal to e power minus 1 by t by tau. Clear? Two fluid elements E1 and E2, E1 and E2 enter E1 and E2 enters at time t equal to 0 and time t equal to theta. Two fluid elements E1 and E2 enters at time t equal to 0 and time t equal to theta. Time t equal to theta. The probability of the probability of E2 exiting before E1. The probability of E2 exiting before E1 is so the residence time distribution of a CSTR is given by E is equal to 1 by tau into e power minus t by tau. So now I am started solving problems on all the chapters. Clear? So I have two topics left, which I will teach in between. So I started solving problems on all the subjects. Two fluid elements E1 enters and E2 enters at time t equal to 0 and time t equal to 0 theta. The probability of E2 exiting before E1 is The exit age distribution. Yes, this is from gate.
Hi, everyone.
So this is the CSTR RTD, E versus T. This is what is RTD and E versus time. CSTR RTD. So E1 is entering at time t equal to 0. When E2 is entering is at time t equal to theta. When E2 is entering is at time t equal to theta. Now my question is, when E1 will exit? When E2 will exit? When E1 will exit and when E2 will exit? So when E1 will exit is, it can exit in any time between 0 to infinity. It can exit any time between 0 to infinity. When E2 will exit theta to infinity, any time it can exit. Any time it can exit. Clear? So when E1 will exit is 0 to infinity time, it will exit at any time. When E2 will exit is, it can exit any time from theta to infinity time. Is it true or not? Because in CSTR, so the probability of a particle to exit can vary from 0 to infinity any time. Any time it can exit. Suppose, my question is, suppose if E1 exits, what is the question is, what is the probability of E2 exiting before E1? Is the question. Suppose if E1 exits in this time frame 0 to theta, then do you have this probability of, let's say, E2 exiting before E1? Suppose if E1 exits in the time frame of 0 to theta, then do you have any chance of E2 exiting before E1? No. Now what we should write is the probability of E2 exiting before E1 is possible only when E1 exits in the time frame of theta to infinity. The probability of E2 exiting before E1 is possible only when E1 exits in the time frame of theta to infinity. Do you get? Did you get? Now, first I will write this. So, probability of E1 and E2 staying together. Probability of E1 and E2 staying together. So it is basically, what is the probability is theta to infinity e dt. Theta to infinity 1 by tau into e power minus t by tau. So now, what is this probability? 1 by tau by minus 1 by tau e power minus t by tau theta to infinity. So what do you get is e power minus theta by tau. E power minus theta by tau is the probability of E1 and E2 staying together. So probability of E1 and E2 staying together is e power minus theta by 2. So have you understood this probability? Suppose if E1 and E2 are staying together, then who will exit first? Does E1 or E2 or both will have an equal probability? E1, E2 or both will have an equal probability. So it is not like, let's say E1 has come first, so it has to exit first. There is no rule. Every particle in the CSTR has equal probability to exit. Now, what is next one is the probability of E2 exiting before E1 is half of e power minus theta by tau, because it is half of the probability of staying together. When E1 and E2 both stays together, then E1 both will have equal probability to exit. So then what is the probability of E2 exiting before E1 is half of e power minus theta by tau. So I'll explain one more time. So basically this is the probability, or let's say exit curve. One particle is entering here, one particle is entering at theta time. E1 can exit in the time frame of any time. E2 can exit in this time frame. Clear? Now, the probability of E2 exiting before E1 is possible when E1 exits in the time frame of theta to infinity only. Suppose if E1 exits before this one, then there is no chance of E2 exiting before E1. So what I am writing first probability is, let's talk about probability of E2 exiting before E1 later on. First we will write probability of E1 and E2 staying together. Probability of E1 and E2 staying together. So what is that probability? 0 to theta to infinity, and then 1 by tau e power minus t by tau. So then what is the answer? E power minus theta by tau. So the probability of E2 exiting before E1. Probability of E2 exiting before E1 is half of minus e power minus theta by tau. That means e power minus theta by tau is the probability of both staying together. It is both staying together. Then when both stays together, E1 exits before E2 is possible, or E2 exits before E1 is possible. Clear? Then what is the probability is half of e power minus theta by tau. E1 and E2 are particles. Suppose if this is same PFR, then what is the answer? If this is PFR, what is the answer? Probability of E2 exiting before E1 is 0. That is never possible. Who entered first will exit first. Clear? So next topic is what is given in the new part of new syllabus, which is kinetics of enzymatic reactions. Kinetics of enzymatic reactions. I feel this topic is not very important because this will be studied by a part of biochemical engineering people, not let's say chemical engineering people. I don't know why this is included. I do not know the reason, but this is a biochemical engineering subject. Biochemical engineering. So I will try to explain this topic as close as possible to chemical engineering. So basically what is an enzyme is, you can consider enzyme as a catalyst. Enzyme as a catalyst. Enzyme relates to catalyst. So one of the close examples that you can is so if you have a milk plus curd, forming curd is one of the examples of enzymatic reaction. So you have a substrate. Substrate is nothing but a reactant. Substrate, you can consider it as a substrate, what you call in, let's say, biochemical engineering terms. Substrates reacts with enzyme. So this is what is enzyme plus substrate. Substrate is nothing but a reactant. In your terms, forms an intermediate which is nothing but ES, which is what actually when a particle goes sits on the catalyst, it is absorbed on the catalyst. No, A plus S gives A dot S. Then this E dot S will be combined into, converts to product P. This P is nothing but a product. So your enzyme is back. Basically it is a catalyst. So your enzyme plus substrate. Substrate is nothing but a reactant. So all these fermentation reactions also enzymatic reactions, like converting sugar or splitting of the sugar, glucose, lactose, all these reactions are basically enzymatic reactions. You cannot call this as an autocatalytic reaction because both of them has a slightly different meaning, but more for understanding you can call it as catalytic reactions also. Now to describe these reactions, there are, let's say, multiple models, or let's say multiple kinetics, or let's say famous kinetics. How do you find out the kinetics? So one of the kinetics is Michaelis-Menten kinetics. Michaelis-Menten's kinetics. So the famous form of Michaelis-Menten kinetics is, so you will have a standard form of, even if you see any of the books, this Michaelis-Menten kinetics has a standard form. Standard form of the equation, which you will write it as B naught into B max into substrate concentration divided by Km plus substrate concentration. So I have a small derivation. I'll do that. So this is what is the famous form of the Michaelis-Menten constant. So what is this, let's say, entire expression is, let's derive the entire equation. So did you got what I'm trying to explain? So basically this is biochemical engineering. Then to explain this one, I have to take, let's say, we have to take 10-15 classes to explain about, let's say, what is the enzyme and origin of the enzyme, and then let's say how enzymes are used and what is the part of the enzymes, then what is a substrate, how this is altogether a subject. This biochemical engineering, enzymatic reactions is altogether a total subject itself. Clear? So basically how you can understood is enzyme is nothing but a reactant, or the enzyme is nothing but a catalyst which reacts on the substrate which is a reactant and forms an intermediate which is ES, and then forms a product, it is P. So basically we are converting reactant to product using a catalyst is what you can say. Now, so we'll this E plus S, how it is represented as, this is actually reversible. So this ES can convert back into, let's say, E plus S also. But once it is product is formed, then you cannot convert. So basically there is conversion here also, but this is the slowest reaction. Let's say this is once product is formed, let's assume that you will not disturb the product, or let's say you are taking out the product. So basically product converting into this ES and converting back, or let's say, is slowest reaction that you can take. Let's say forward rate constant is K1, backward rate constant is, similarly whatever we have done the derivation there, which is more or less applicable here. So this is K1, this is K minus 1, this is, let's say, K2. Clear? Have you understood till now? So let's assume that at steady state, let's assume that you have a steady state where rate of ES formation is equal to rate of ES, let's say, reaction. How much amount of ES formed at steady state will be equal to ES conversion. So what is that rate? K1 into E into S. This is what is at rate of ES forming. The rate at which ES consuming is K minus 1 into ES plus K2 into ES. Clear? So I'm trying to write at steady state, the rate at which ES is forming is equal to the rate at which ES is converting. Now, so I have, let's say, similarly side balance ET. ET is nothing but total enzymes that I have added into the reaction. Total enzymes that I have added into the reaction, which is equal to part of the enzymes which are associated with the substrate plus part of the enzymes which are, let's say, empty. So what is my total number of enzymes ET is equal to some of the enzymes are associated with the substrate, some of the enzymes are, let's say, vacant. Now what I will do is I will take this E and then substitute here. I will take this E and substitute here. Clear? So what it comes is K1 is equal to ET minus ES is equal to S, and then I will take K2 ES. So this is what is, so you have taken common. Are you clear till this point? This is, yeah, enzymatic adsorption, desorption, you can understand similar to, but the phenomena is different. Enzyme just stick to the substrate and then converts this into product, and enzyme goes out of the reaction. So if you understood till now, then I will write K1 into Et minus Es into S, which is equal to K minus 1 K2 into what is this term? What did we write on the previous board is Es. So Es. Now we have a term called, let's say, so we have defined one term which is called as Km. How do you define Km? Is nothing but rate constant of, let's say, Es reaction divided by rate constant of Es formation is what you define it as Km. Km is nothing but what is K minus 1? How enzyme is reacting to form E. K2 is how enzyme Es is splitting to product divided by K1 is formation. So if you take that term Et Es into S is equal to Km into Es, because this K1 goes this side, will become Km. So I am going little slowly because this is, many of the people, this is the first time you are doing this one. If you have a biochemical engineering subject in your, let's say, curriculum, you would have done this derivation. Km is some constant which talks about, let's say, rate of Es, rate constants of Es conversion divided by rate constants of Es formation. Now I will take Et into S, and then Es I will take this side. Then what it happens is Km plus S into Es. Now we have the concept of, let's say, V0, which is called as velocity. The rate at which product is forming is called the velocity in the enzymatic reactions. How do you define velocity? Is K2 into E into S, which is called as rate at which product is forming, velocity. Then how do you write your Es? Is nothing but V0 divided by K2. V0 divided by K2. Now take this V0 divided by K2 and substitute it here. Then what you will get is Et into S is equal to Km plus S into, how to write Es is V0 by K2. Now, how do you write your V naught is? What is V naught is basically velocity at which product is forming, which is nothing but K2 into ET into S divided by Km plus S. Clear? So go slowly. So I'll take doubts in between. Show the previous page. Yes, now K2 into ET is your Vmax because I'll show you why it is Vmax. So I'll move to next page. Yeah, Km is nothing but, let's say, some type of rate constant, equilibrium rate constant, you can say. Now, what is your velocity? V0 is equal to K into ES. How many enzymes are there? ET is total number of enzymes, no? Total number of enzymes. Suppose if all ET is occupied by substrate, then what is the rate? The rate will be maximum if all the enzymes are occupied with the suppose if I have 5 enzymes, 10 enzymes, out of 10, 5 are sticking to the substrate and converting into product, then rest of the 5 are free, no? Then does the rate is maximum? No. If all the 10 are sticking to the substrate, then whatever the rate of product formation, that will be the maximum. So how do you define your Emax is K2 into if all the ES becomes ET. So this you can call it as, let's say, Vmax. So that is where you call it as V naught equal to Vmax into S divided by Km plus S. This is a so-called famous kinetics in enzymatic reactions, which is Michaelis-Menten kinetics. So I'm going to give 5 minutes time, see the entire derivation right from the start. Sorry. So somebody is asking, what is Km. So I'm going to understand, I'm going to tell, let's say, what is Km. So I'll take an assumption, let's say, suppose if V naught is equal to Vm, V max by 2. So what is V naught? V naught is nothing but velocity at which the product is forming. So V naught is nothing but velocity at which the product is forming. So what do you write V naught as? V max divided by 2, which is equal to V max into S divided by Km plus S. If you solve this one, Km is equal to S. So what is Km is? Km is nothing but substrate concentration, or let's say substrate concentration when your velocity is max, or let's say half of max velocity. This is how you define the substrate concentration. Or let's say Km. Km is nothing but something which is, Km is nothing but the substrate concentration. What is substrate? You can define it as reactant concentration. Substrate K1 rate constant is nothing but the concentration of the reactant when the rate is half of the maximum rate, is what is in your, let's say, chemical reaction engineering terms. So Km is nothing but concentration of the reactant when the rate is equal to half of the maximum rate. Pseudo-state mechanism is also same. What do you do in pseudo-state mechanism is, you will equate the intermediate concentration to 0 so that you will derive the kinetics. So pseudo-state mechanism, you can't call it as pseudo-state approximation. So what you call it as in pseudo-state approximation is, you will equate the rate of intermediates to 0 to derive the kinetics. You are deriving the kinetics also. We have substituted, no? Where we have not substituted, yes, we have substituted in place of S, not in place of ES. We have taken common and substituted here now, ES. Everybody done? Just take some time and read the entire derivation that we have derived. Now, what is another mechanism is, so monod equations. So this is monod equations. What is this monod equations is nothing but the Michaelis-Menten equations applied for organisms growth. So how do you define it as? Mu equal to mu max plus S divided by K plus S. This is also similar to the Michaelis-Menten equation form. So what is this EU? Difference is this is defined for growth of microorganisms. So what is microorganism? All this story is nothing but the biochemical engineering. So here this is defined for, let's say, microorganisms, but everything will remain same. What is Umax is max rate of microorganism formation, growth of microorganisms, or max rate of microorganism formation. So S is substrate concentration. Ks is nothing but concentration of substrate when mu equal to mu max by 2. So all they remain same. Only thing is he has applied the Michaelis-Menten equation for a different application. Is what is the has fetched a, I think, Nobel Prize for him. Microbial, or let's say microorganisms growth. So he has applied this concept of enzymes in the field of, let's say, microorganisms, which is, let's say, in the body reactions that he will do in the, let's say, biomedical applications. So that is what is, let's say, only thing is the kinetics are applied for an application is what is Monod equations. No numericals in this part. These, I think, if in the gate question, if he asks only these equations, he will ask. We do not know how he will ask the gate questions also, because the first time he has included. So I still do not get the reason why they have included this part of chemical engineering gate. Maybe I understood one of the reason is this year, let's say, multiple branches are allowed to write the chemical engineering gate. So that is where I think he has included some parts of the syllabus is what I guess. Otherwise, generally we taught biochemical engineering is there in the gate general curriculum syllabus also. So even when I am studying BTech, I have this biochemical engineering in my 4-1 final year, let's say first semester, but this is not part of a gate exam generally. I think we are left with, I think, maybe half an hour. So catalyst deactivation is, I think, 1 hour topic. So what we do is we will solve 1 or 2 problems. Maybe tomorrow we will take the catalyst deactivation. Let's write this problem. Let's write this problem. A porous pellet with platinum, dispersed in it, is used to carry out a catalytic reaction. Is used to carry out a catalytic reaction. Carried out a catalytic reaction. Following two scenarios are possible. Following two scenarios are possible. Scenario 1. Scenario 1. I think this is a big theory question, but has a very good fundamentals. Scenario 1. Platinum present throughout the pores of the pellet. Is used for catalyzing the reaction. Is used for catalyzing the reaction. Is used for catalyzing the reaction. Scenario 2. Scenario 2. Platinum present only in the immediate vicinity of the external surface of the pellet is used for catalyzing the reaction. Is used for catalyzing the reaction. Now this is scenario 1 is given. Scenario 1 is platinum present throughout the pore is used for catalyzing the reaction. Scenario 2 is platinum present only in the immediate vicinity of the surface is catalyzing the reaction. Now the question is, write this question. At large value of Thiele modulus, which one of the following statements is true? At large value of Thiele modulus, which one of the following statements is true? So first option. Option 1. Reaction rate is greater than diffusion rate. Scenario 1 occurs. B. Reaction rate is greater than diffusion rate scenario 2 occurs. C. Reaction rate is less than diffusion rate. Scenario 1 occurs. D. Reaction rate is less than diffusion rate. Scenario 2 occurs. So it is a big theory question, but I like this question because it tells you the fundamentals of the porous catalyst. First question is, I will ask, at large value of Thiele modulus, should scenario 1 occurs or 2 occurs? Scenario 1 occurs or scenario 2 occurs? So take out the options of scenario 1. So everybody is saying scenario 2. So take out the options of scenario 1. So basically scenario 2 occurs. So what if I draw this pore? Let's say this is the catalyst. Now if I draw the concentration profiles, the concentration profile is throughout the pore constant when phi is low. Clear? So the concentration profile is drops like this. This is concentration profile. Concentration of A, concentration of A. When this is when phi is high. Since the concentration drops here, so here there will be no reaction. No reaction. Because there is no concentration, no. So when phi is high, only immediate vicinity of the pore is only applicable. So this tells that I can take option C and option D. Now here, which rates? Now you have rate of film, rate of diffusion, rate of reaction. Now which one is lowest when phi is high? Diffusion is the controlling. That means which is the slowest step? This is controlling. So your reaction rate is much higher than the diffusion rate. That is why your scenario 2 occurs. Answer is B. Answer is B. Suppose for low Thiele modulus, then what could be the answer? Low Thiele modulus. Then the answer is first scenario 1 occurs, because your diffusion rate is higher than the reaction rate. Answer is C for low Thiele modulus. So basically, when phi is low, the concentration profile is like this, constant. When phi is high, the concentration profile is dropping. So in this part, there is no reaction. So that is why first scenario 2 occurs. Scenario 2 is what? The catalyst which is in the immediate vicinity is only participating in the reaction. So I will take out scenario 1 options. Then why scenario 2 occurs? When phi is high, when Thiele modulus is high, your rate of diffusion is extremely slow because particles concentration dropping. Why concentration is dropping? Particles could not able to diffuse inside the pore. No, that is why the rate of diffusion is extremely slow. So I think I have left only with, let's say, 10 minutes. So what I will do is I'll take take the doubts today. Tomorrow we will complete catalyst deactivation, maybe 1 or 2 problems, and Friday 1.5 hours we will dedicate only for the problems. I think with Friday we will complete the entire CRE. We can complete tomorrow also because somebody has asked to solve some more number of problems. So I'm taking one more session to solve more number of problems. If you have any doubts, I will take some doubts. It is strong pore diffusion low, so reaction low. No, strong pore diffusion resistance. That means diffusion is low. The rate of diffusion is low. So let me know your doubts. Yeah, most probably we will start MEP from Saturday, or maybe we don't know. We will talk to One Institute management and let us know what is their plans. You will get intimation quite early. Yes, I will discuss space time and residence time difference. I think I will discuss maybe in the problem section. I will show one diagram and show you, let's say, what is space time and residence time. See, diffusion is low. That means reaction is higher, but diffusion is low. But overall, see, you are confusing the overall reaction with the rate of reaction. Surface reaction could have a higher. Since diffusion is low, that is governing your overall rate of reaction. Reaction could be higher, but whatever you observe is the diffusion rate only. So no reaction occurs means concentration is very low. That's why no reaction. Somebody's question I don't understand. Since no reaction occurs means since the concentration is very low, that's why no reaction. I'm not. Procedure for applying PSUs is if it is based on gate, then you have to apply for gate. Once you get the rank, then you will get multiple PSUs applications open. Yes, if R diffusion is low, R film and R reaction are higher, no? R higher than R diffusion. That is what is given. No, reaction rate is higher than reaction diffusion. So can't say like if the new chapter is included that you will get more questions from there. We don't know. Basically, this is not a chapter. This is one topic. Can you share the last question in screen? I have to stop sharing. So I'll save it to photos. So I have to share. So this is the question, last question that I solved. So I'll take some more doubts. PFR will not operate when the feed is pure reactant, but in some question, who told that PFR will not operate when feed is pure reactant? I never said no. No resistance means I think somebody is stuck up somewhere there itself. See, you have understood in strong pore diffusion region, your diffusion rate is low. That means your reaction rate is higher, no? It is simple as that. But don't confuse that reaction rate with the overall reaction. Overall reaction is linked to your diffusion again. Your overall reaction is diffusion rate only. PFR will not operate when the feed is pure reactant, but in some questions it is given that I didn't say that pure feed is not possible. So no, PFR can be used for gases also. No, there is nowhere it is written that PFR should be used only for gases. Any other questions? For n greater than 1, PFR followed by a large CSTR followed by a PFR followed by a small CSTR followed by a big CSTR. For n greater than 1, PFR first followed by a small CSTR followed by a big CSTR. Any other doubts? Any other doubts, questions? Any doubts more? We'll stop the session. Are any other doubts? So you have written no reaction in the concentration proper for high values. Because when there is no concentration, there is no reaction, no. Higher values of Thiele modulus, what happens is inside the pore there is no concentration. That means there is no reaction. When the molecules enter, then only there is a reaction, no. So I think any other questions that you have? Any other doubts? I think we'll stop it here.